Good morning. My name is Tumi Tladi. Today is Saturday, the 10th of July 2021, and time is 11 minutes after 5 a.m. So, now, this is my YouTube channel, and then the reason why I'm referencing it, please, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you haven't commented in any of the videos, please do so. Maybe you like me to clarify something, you like me to do something, please use hashtag request in capital letters and tell me exactly what you would like me to show. Okay, now so this video number 27, the login page, I identified some stuff before I talk about what I'm gonna do today. On this video where I did a deep dive, I watched it and then something was wrong there. So now if I switch now to Visual Studio, you will see, if I go to Get Changes tab, you see that there are three commits that's supposed to go up, and then I'm gonna push them. Okay, so they're going to GitHub right now, and then I have already pushed the first three commits to GitHub prior, and now there's a second batch which is 3, and I'm also gonna push to Azure DevOps, of which the total of commits is gonna be 6 in Azure DevOps. Because when I switch between branches, I like to make sure that there are no unpushed commits. We'll do this. The series is coming of version control, where I do explain what on earth is happening right now, what this tab is all about, the gate changes, what's happening, why is there a change right now, everything. Okay, so because I want to take a sneak peek into what I did, I'm just waiting for confirmation. Yes, it's a success. Good. Now let's go back to the browser, and then let's use GitHub, but the same changes are also on Azure DevOps, so I'm just going to show on GitHub. It's the reason why I'm doing this, it's because, like I said, I am my own biggest fan. So when I put together this YouTube channel, the video number 1, which is the overview of me explaining what the intent of this YouTube channel is all about, I did explain that I was going to show how I put it together, but also that I'm going to be raw, meaning that I'm going to do things live where I show you literally everything, what services I've used, and then how did I code, the UI, and then the code behind everything. Part of it is that you're going to see some errors, you're going to see some bugs, especially bugs, not errors, especially the bugs. So if you look at this branch you see 2 minutes ago, and then because I did the work on web, as you can see, 90 minutes ago, and I also did the work on MVC for call, and then let me go to commit. Now this else part, this was a critical for me to do this else part. Wait, why is GitHub so messy? Okay, yes, I had to remove this alert warning number 4 because it's called duplication. I had to use a helper method called login failed message, and there's the login failed message. Yeah, now to be honest, GitHub, let me use Azure DevOps right now. Like I said, we're gonna cover this series of version control, but right now I want something that shows properly. I feel like GitHub doesn't do what I'm looking for. Of course, I understand everything I've done. So this is the same commit, right? Well, I like to think it is the same commit where I add the else part. I think this is where now we can change, yeah, side by side. Okay, what happened to me now expanding this thing? Okay, I still need side by side though. There we go. No, unfortunately, seems like I cannot. Okay, it's fine. Side by side. So, like I said, I had to get this thing inside the else statement. And then I had to reuse this method. The point is, I do modify stuff, like I do make some changes and everything. So that's the point. Okay, when I teach, when I show how I build my system, moving from one platform to the other, from one project to the other, I get to identify stuff. Okay, what we're going to be doing today, because previously the video, it's not yet released for the public, but it's uploaded. I did service provider for Swagger. So today we're gonna do for FluentValidation. So FluentValidation. So we're gonna do a service called FluentValidation. Okay. So while this guy is doing, let me go back to Visual Studio. Right click on the solution so we can check the NuGet packages for the entire solution. The reason why I'm doing this, I like to show the NuGet packages that I have used, what they are, and then the version numbers for which project in the solution. Can someone tell me why is this happening in my internet? It is fast. Okay, so this is FluentValidation. They have their GitHub repo, but I'm just gonna go to homepage. Like I always say, whenever I do a video on service provider, these service providers, they did not pay me to sell their product or service or to market their service. They did not. So I'm just going to do the high level overview of, okay, this is the website you need to check out. Please go look for the documentation. Please go and check what's happening in GitHub or all of those stuff. But I just need the high level. I'm just going to do the high level overview. So it is a popular .NET library for building strongly typed validation rules. Okay, so you can download it, you can view on GitHub, you can see the downloads, CI, it's parsing, which is continuous integration, and then it has the version number on the NuGet, and then you see these are documentation. It has a built-in validators, we'll take a look at that. Custom validators, we can get started with it. I haven't done localization. I have tested my validation rules, ASP.NET integration, and then the full documentation. I've done this, trust me. So now it's your turn now to do this. Okay, so now we know. So what it does is basically you need a class, and the convention, if you have a model for a customer model, please name this class customer validator. It's the naming convention. It needs to inherit from abstract validator, passing in your model. Normally I don't write it customer, it's supposed to be customer model or whatever it is. And then it only utilizes the constructor, which is the main thing. so the constructor, and you're just going to say rule for, and then if you do x such as x, if you hit dot, out of this model it will pick up all of the properties. So in this case, surname, forename, discount, address, and postcode. And when you say not empty, you're saying the surname should not be empty, and then forename should not be empty with the message. So this way you write your own custom error message. Please specify a first name. And then discount, you can use not equal to 0 when that's a condition if this guy has a discount. And then for address, you can do length to say the minimum has to be 20, and then length, I think this total has to be 250, or the maximum has to be 250. And then the postcode, you say it's a must that you use your own custom method, which is a BAVID postcode, where you pass in a string, which is postcode is going to be passed in, and then with the message, please specify a valid postcode. So I've done all of this. So if we look at Fluent, there we go. So Fluent validation, there's the NuGet package. Let's see where it's installed. So it's interesting. It's installed on this project, which is both MVC and Web API targeting .NET framework. It's installed on Xamarin shared project. And I'm also going to show how I set up. It's also installed on WPF, a library, which is this guy, because I need those rules. Okay, and then this project of WPF, I'm still not done yet with it. Okay, and then this one, it's installed on the Web API for .NET Core, and this one, it's installed on the Web API version of .NET framework. This one also. Okay, so this guy and this guy, they depend on this guy, right? This is for .NET Core, as you can see. So we are done with this guy. Let me start with .NET framework. Remember, this is only targeting well, in my case of identical dogs, it is targeting Web API, not MVC. Okay, so how do you set it up at this side? Let's see. Where do you set this thing up? It can't just magically work, right? Web API config class. There we go. So this is how you set it up. So you're gonna say Fluent validation mode validator provide dot configure. You pass in the config that comes in from HTTP configuration. Like I said, I am raw where I try to remember how I set it up. I did not do this prior. I just made some changes to the entire system based on the previous commits that I showed on both the GitHub and Azure DevOps. So this is how raw I am. Now, how do you, okay, but let me show on .NET Core Web API how do you set up. So normally it's supposed to be in startup class. It's not in startup class, it's in installers, MVC installer. There we go. Services dot, see, add Fluent validation, where I say options such as options, register validators from assembly containing, you see, startup, because startup is it's a container for the entire application. So this is how you register it on .NET Core Web API. Okay, so let's switch now to .NET Framework. So let's go to one of the models. So the model, my models don't live in here. In fact, I'm making use of a view models. So let's go to view models. I'm just going to pick a random one. But wait, I don't have for Web API, so it's not view models. In fact, it's contracts. So Web API for version 1 requests. So these are the things that are coming in. Okay, so let me do general for access pin. See the one that says get one access pin? So this is my model. And how do I know Fluent Validation works here? Because we have an attribute called the validator. So that's how you're supposed to do it. Now, this is a normal typical model, but in my case, it's a request. When I talk about, because this is a language for Web API, right? It's not the language for MVC. The language for MVC, we call this model or view model. So the language for Web API is request. Okay, it's a normal class where I have a property, business name, and then access pin. Both of them are of type string. I have attribute required, a required attribute, and I have a display attribute. These are normal stuff, right? But what's unique as far as Fluent Validation comes in is this validator. As you can see, it comes from Fluent Validation attributes. Okay, it's a validator attribute. I'm saying type of, meaning that I do have a corresponding validator that takes out of after this name. There we go. So it's a post one access pin request validator for version 1, because I can also have a version 2. So that's the class we're gonna go next. So now they live in folder called validators in .NET Core. As you can see, I have a folder called validations. I don't know why I called it validations. It's supposed to be validators. Oh, in mobile, let's do that. In mobile, so this is mobile, right? Because I have them. You see the folder called validators. So in mobile, this is Xamarin shared project. You do not register them. They only have the package like I showed. So you don't register them. But I just want to show the naming convention that I use validators. I don't know why I'm using validations. It's supposed to be validators for things to sync. Okay, cool. So this is where they live, right? So again, for version 1, general, there we go. Post 1 access pin request validator version 1. So now this is the actual validation class that's going to provide the validation rules. So the name of the class, like I said, please, the naming convention has to have a validator, and then I'm saying it's going to inherit from abstract validator. This is everything that we learned from their website, right? How to utilize this, but I've read the entire documentation. Okay, so now I'm saying I want you to validate this model. As we saw, post 1 access pin request 1, and then the constructor is the only thing I need, right? And I'm saying rule 4 because I have 2 properties. Now I want you to apply the validation rules for business name, also for access pin. Now remember they are both of type string, right? Now this one for business number, I want the length, the number of the characters to be 4, right? See, exact length to be 4 characters. It's a must. And then I provide with the message. So I like to use my own custom messages. So the messages, they do live in global variables. So I do have static strings. If I do this, I'm just going to show you a little bit of what's in this class. There we go. So I like to use the comments to say, now these are the rules for access pin. You see validation message, yes, for business number property, for access pin feature, where I say the business number length should be 4 characters, and then the access pin length should be 6 characters. There we go. So now you understand. And then that's it. Now, how does it know how to trigger this? Because we're going to test this thing using Swagger. In fact, I should launch this project in the meantime. We should test this and see how it works. So these are just setting the validation rules, right? Okay, let's wait for this guy before it freezes. It's a fantastic piece of technology that Jeremy put together. That's the name of the gentleman behind this package, this technology, the service, Fluent Validator or validation. It's very, very powerful. You see, it works for Xamarin, it works for .NET Core, it works for .NET Framework, and now it works for WPF. Okay, so now we have the validator. How do you utilize these validators? Let's go to the controller for Web API, version 1, general, access pin controller. Now let's see how do you utilize this guy. Okay, now the only thing about this guy where you get to utilize them is with this check. That's it. If not, the model state is valid, meaning that what comes in based on this request. Remember this request? Remember this guy? This is what I'm checking against. This guy, especially this class. So this is what I'm checking. If not, it's going to return bad requests and show you the errors. That's what we're about to do using Swagger. Now, remember Swagger, I used it in my previous video. Please watch the previous video so you can see how I got to set up Swagger. And then by the way, Swagger is not going to work just like that because we did explain that Swagger, in fact, it needs to be enabled. It's fine. Remove that, and then let's rebuild it again. Okay, so all of this is in my previous video, I believe video number 35 or 34, 35, no, okay, somewhere there. All right, the build succeeded, so let's wait for this guy to wake up. All right, so that's it. This is how you get to utilize it. Now let me move now to the .NET Core world. We are done. Oh, but the one thing I want to show though about a different different validators depending on your rules, like check post. Okay, this one is using less than. You see the condition is different. There's a greater than and there's less than. We've seen the length, send code. There are those ones are different. I just need to look for them. Okay, I think those ones are on the mobile side. So but what's inside .NET Framework as far as web application is concerned is exactly what's in .NET Core. Validators, just to show they're similar, but I'll show you the difference. See, similar, everything is similar. Going back to the contract, v1 request general post one access. This one is different. Do you see there's no attribute in .NET Core? Yes, because it's being registered globally, so automatically it knows based on the validator. What's important is this guy. It knows, so it loads all the assemblies automatically. So this guy is automatically being mapped to this guy automatically. That's their link, and then it will search for anything that has to do with the validator. So in .NET Core, it's more flexible. Okay, you don't have to put in these attributes that I showed, the validator attribute. You don't have to do that. Cool. And then now, like I said, how you utilize this is different. Controller, general, access pin, controller. I'm still in .NET Core. It's different because there's no that if statement. The reason why there's no if statement, we did explain this when I explained the purpose of this folder, utilities, helpers, filters, validation filter, where I explained that this guy takes care of the model state if they're valid or not globally for all the controllers. So in all my controllers, I don't have that if not model state is valid. So this is advanced stuff now. This is not for kids. Okay, cool. I want to clear these guys except for Swagger. I want to clear them up, but the guy. So this guy has loaded. Let's go now to Swagger. There we go, to test our Fluent validation. And then access pin for version 1, where we're about to post. We did this in the previous video. So firstly, if I remove these guys, I want you to notice the error message. Try out. this is where now Fluent Validation kicks in. There we go. It says for business number, you see the request is invalid. You see the model state is invalid. That's the model state. It says for business number, the business number field, firstly, it's required because there's required attribute. Secondly, the length should be 4 characters. Sounds familiar or seems familiar? Yes. And access pin is required, and that it should be 6 characters. So Fluent Validation can also use the built-in validators, as we saw on this guy, built-in validators like required. Okay, but if I start to type in something here, that means I'm satisfying the required attribute or rule, and now I'm left with the custom where it says it should be 4 and it should be 6. And then if I provide these ones to be 4 characters, it will be happy. Yes, let's check that. So you see that one disappeared. Now I'm left with this guy. So nothing's gonna happen to this request going through. It's not gonna go anywhere. Now this is very powerful to protect the Web API, because remember the Web API is a type of a project that's been utilized by multiple clients. It can be IoT device having its own project. It can be a web application, MVC in this case, or Blazor. It can be web forms. It can be another web API utilizing a different web API. It can be Xamarin application for Android, iOS, UWP. It can also be for WPF. Here it is. So you need to protect the web API endpoints as far as controllers are concerned. So that's how you test it. So it's the same thing with .NET Core, but let's do that. Let's show .NET Core version of it. So with this one, I like to undo the changes I made. So we are done testing it this side. Close it, and now here I'm just gonna run it without setting it to be a startup project. So let's give this few seconds to a minute, and I'm just gonna say view in the browser. There we go. So while that guy does that, that's the only thing I need to do. I wanna go to the Xamarin shared project now. That how does the Android and how does the iOS know about these validation rules? Unfortunately, I'm unable to do anything for iOS because I don't have MacBook. I do have iPhone and iPad, but I don't have MacBook to test, this project for iOS, unfortunately. So let's give this guy, because behind the scenes it's like it's building, but it will wake up just now. Okay, so but I'm gonna show how I set them up. Also, unfortunately, I still haven't fixed my visor on this machine to show the Android app, but I'm gonna do that on the laptop as soon as I move to now Xamarin, because I haven't touched Xamarin in detail. I'm only been referencing. Okay, so like I said, we have validators in general. Remember that that access pin. In fact, access pin is part of, let's see, yes, startup for client validator. There we go. So in Xamarin shared project or Xamarin application, this is how I set them up. There we go. Let me do. We did this. I'm just showing the goodness of what I did in my previous video for Swagger. This is a beautiful UI in .NET Core. Beautiful. Okay, so we are still on access pin for version 1 post. And then I'm just gonna hit try out, and I'm gonna remove these guys again, and then I'm gonna hit this blue big button. That's gonna show the errors. There we go. So now see, better request 400. It says the access pin is required. the business number is required, and then my own custom validation rules. There we go. And then if I satisfy this guy, she says okay, but the characters, and then if I add one more character here and then hit execute, business number is going to be okay. Wait, I was looking for business number to be 4 characters. There we go. Business number is going to be satisfied, and only access pin is going to be problematic. So I did this for all my endpoints, my controllers. Okay, so now you know. Now quickly for Xamarin, yeah, I'm done with the browser. Now for Xamarin, so I call it client validator 1. This is going to be very interesting. Why do I have multiple classes? So there's second class, and then there is a third class, and there's a fourth class. We're gonna try to explain all of this, because yeah, the requirement on Xamarin was unique and different. Firstly, I have the model. Let's go to the model. General. Let's actually start up. Client model. See, I have business number and access pin. I don't need the required attributes in here. Should I? No, I don't need them. So you know that I have this guy. Okay. And then I'm making use of it. You see the same syntax. Okay. And then I have the constructor. Like I said, we need the constructor, then the rule for, you see. Now this one, this class is addressing, unfortunately, for a business number only. I'll try to explain why. Not both of them, why only one. So it's addressing business number. We say it should not be empty. Number 1, it should not be empty. And I have the message. With the message, you see I'm still using global variables, but this one is in mobile application. This one, it's in mobile application. So if I click this guy, it should. I almost thought there's something sensitive here, but there's nothing sensitive. Whew. Okay, so there we go. So let's go to startups. Wait, where is it? Startup client, there we go. Where I'm saying for business, the business number is required. That's the first thing. So it's a unique way of doing it, and that's it takes in the business number 1, part of the message, of which there it is. Okay, then now we are done with the first class. The second class, this one is still for business number, but we are saying it must be 4 characters. 1 passing the business number. So the business number, when it comes in, remember it should not be empty. And then when the user has typed in something, and then I'm saying now it needs to be 4 characters, then I'm going to check, return the boolean, that is this valid? Is it 4? Then return true. If not, return false. If it's false, it's going to show this second error message for business number, of which it says business number should be 4 characters. So it's a unique way of doing it. It's the same thing with access pin. It should be 6 characters. So this is why then there's a second class in here. And then the third class, it's for access pin. It should not be empty. And then the fourth class, it should be access pin. It must be 6 characters this time. There we go. But how do I utilize this guy? I'm glad you asked the question. So we're done with the model. We are done with the validator. Let's go to view model. View model. Startups for client view model. Now, the first thing that you need to do is to bring in the global variables for iValidator. That's the convention, iValidator. Well, I had to figure it out. That's not the convention. I had to figure it out that I had to bring in iValidator. And then let me disclose something, full disclosure. These people, these service providers, they don't always show for all the platforms. It's the community.net community that, hey, if you like to do it on a desktop, this is how you should do it because I figured it out. The owner of this piece of technology doesn't always show the entire use case. I can go to GitHub right now. He's not going to show how you do this in Xamarin. You can check for yourself. So I have iValidator, validator 1, 2, 3, 4, because I have 4 classes. And then I have the constructor. We need the constructor to initialize them. There we go. See, that's how we initialize to say client validator 1, 2, 3, 4 class. And then I have methods, clear validation 1 and 2. So let's take a look at those methods. It's a custom methods. So this way I validate business number. So this way I'm showing to say, I'm saying, hey, don't show where the error message, the control, don't show where we're gonna show, okay, this is the control that's gonna show the error message. So don't show it, and then with the error message, make sure that it's empty. So I clear for business number, I also clear for access pin. So this is the control, don't show it, and then remove the error message. So this is a clear validation 1 and 2. Now, and then I have validation 1 before I can authenticate, before I can click the button authenticate. So remember I have 4 validation rules. It's interesting the way I engineered it. It's not on the internet, this one. This is me, my own creation. It's not on the internet. It's not on the internet. Okay, so this guy returns a boolean, validation number 1. So I'm saying all validations cleared. I'm asking, are all validations cleared? So by default, it's false, like we know, right? That's what's going to be returned eventually. So then I'm going to say, okay, we're going to validate that client model, particularly for business number. Okay, see my naming convention? Classic. And then I'm going to say var validation result. Here we're expecting the result. It comes from FluentValidation.result. So I'm going to say that validator 1. Now, if I hit validate method, see it validates the specified instance. So this is the instance for business number. And then if it's good to go for number 1, remember the rules for that class number 1, right? And then if the result, it says it's valid. The what's important is I'm going to say this guy, yes, the validations are cleared. And then I'm still going to clear the validations, meaning remove the control that's responsible for showing the error message for this specific rule. And then I'm going to skip this else, and I'm going to return true for our all validations cleared, yes. Else, if this guy is not, meaning that we have error, here I have a string error message. Out of those results, I can get the error message, the very first error message, because it's a list, to say, give me an error message. Now, if the error message is the same as, remember those, let me do this. Like this is what was returned is this. Then what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna go to that control for showing the error message. I'm gonna say you need to be visible, and this wanna be the error message. I'll show this on the mobile application. I'll come back to it. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one, we are checking, it's the same thing, but this one we're checking for 4 characters. Base number, but remember number 2 is this with the 4 characters. Basically the same thing. So when all these validations have passed, then we're going to check. So inside the try, so we're going to say var validation 1 cleared. Remember, this guy, it clears if the business number is not empty. If it's true, get inside if it's true. Else, don't do anything. If it's true, get inside. Then I'm gonna check the second one, mean that is this guy not empty? Is the base number not empty? If yes, then get inside. Validation number 2 is that basis number contains 4 characters, and then if not, see, I'm not doing anything because the error messages are being handled. I'm only concerned about if it's true. If number 3 for access pin it's not empty, if yes, we get it inside. If number 4, the last one, is true, that means all the validations are being cleared, all of them, number 1 up to number 4. Then I can get inside to say, okay, they're all cleared. Then I can now construct a proper object now to be sent to that web API to say they have been cleared. That means there is a value here, and then it means the requirement, which is 4 characters. There is a value, it means the requirement, which is 6 characters. And then I'm gonna send it to the web API. We'll do this. This was just meant for validations, how they get to be utilized. I'm passionate about this project. I build with passion, and then I knew exactly what I was doing. I hope you found this video informative. I hope it's exactly what you were looking for. I hope that, you know, inspires some creativity, you know, on your next innovation or invention. I hope so. With that being said, that's it for me. I'm done. Until next time. So what's the next milestone? The next milestone is gonna be Postman. It's gonna be fantastic, that one. I'm excited about it. Other than that, thank you.